So one of the things that happens with me is that when I give my lectures in my classes, I have a tendency to walk around. And so sometimes if you're walking around and standing next to a student, they think that something's wrong. Or maybe they think that if you don't walk next to them, there's something wrong. So that's all of that is part of human nature. So can everybody see the slide? Is it okay? So the last time I talked about this, I brought in this part with it about there's a reward in your brain for getting things done. That's part of the problem. Your brain rewards you for getting things done, all right? So this may be why everyone cheats, okay? There's this paper that I cited the last time, Clark et al., Neuron, 2009, okay? And they kind of investigated this and found out that stress was lessened, giving you this kind of mental reward. And it's very interesting to me. What happens is that your brain tells you that it's easier and better to get things done. We all have that kind of feeling that it's better to get things done. So we get this reward, neurotransmitters and feelings, and that's important. And that's one of the reasons why we have this epidemic. Okay. The last 2 years, I had a grant from the community college that I was teaching in, one of the community colleges that I was teaching in, and students were getting college credit. They were getting credit for chemistry, okay? But all of the students didn't cheat in the class. I'll tell you that all of them didn't cheat. But they all were going to college, but they had no perspective about ethics, no perspective whatsoever. So high school students, at least the ones, these are public high school students in a special academy from a high school, but public school, they had no perspective whatsoever about ethics. And this is right here locally in East Los Angeles, okay? But would it be easier to just teach ethics to the students and not chemistry? So maybe it would help them in their courses. But would that serve any purpose? I think one of the problems with high school is that a lot of the teachers that teach high school have this attitude that high school is a punishment for students, and it's not. It shouldn't be that. And I didn't feel that way, but I was coming from from community college teaching high school students. So the idea is that no, it's not what it is. Okay. But they did learn something about electrons, protons, neutrons, and they could balance equations better than anybody I ever met. But that's what we learned, and would be just too easy just to be in school to learn. And I think that's what I tried to get them to do. And a lot of them, like I said, have gone into college. Probably most of them will. Okay, so from the National Data Center for Academic Integrity. Okay. This was 50,000 college students, more than 60 campuses. 70% of students admit to some form of cheating. 25% admit to serious test cheating. 50% admit to serious cheating on written assignments during this past year. This was from data from 2008, I think. 77% believe that cutting and pasting from the internet is fine, and not citing it, and they just minor rewording. And they feel it's not a serious issue. Okay, part of the problem is the faculty. Faculty, 44% of the faculty who knew about cheating in their courses did not report. Probably much higher than that. I think that's a very low number. Students indicate that cheating is more likely to occur in courses that are permissive. Okay. But there has been a significant increase in unpermitted collaboration on tests and assignments. The numbers look like this. 1963, the numbers were like 11%. In 1993, the numbers are 49%. You saw that the earlier data I reported is higher than that now. But that's what we're looking at, this tremendous increase, okay? And also, going back to 18,000 high school students surveyed, 70% were similar to the other numbers I gave you before. serious cheating, 60% admitted to plagiarism. The numbers are large. They're not small, and they're getting larger, and it's disturbing. Okay, another experience in my community college teaching career, which is the career I now have. Students, I was teaching anatomy, okay, and I'm not just a chemist, but I'm a biochemist, so I can teach things like anatomy. So students committed the following infraction. Okay, so we had these kind of chummy students sitting in one part of the room, and I had to go to the edge of the room to get a long distance phone call from my sister who lives in Florida, and I never left the room. I was only in the doorway, and so these two students exchanged their tests during that time when I was in the doorway. Which when I found out about this later, I was kind of appalled. I thought it was a terrible thing to happen. Why would they have the audacity to change papers and just go out of the room for not even going out of the room, you're on the edge of the room? It's just what's happening. So some of the students. Some of the students told me about this later on, okay? And so the students that had originally been involved in changing papers, and in this course I have all essay exams, so you really can't cheat in essay exams that easily. You really can't. You have to write something. You have to show that you learned something, that you know something. So these other students told me about it, and the first students, when they found out about it, responded in a very negative way. It was almost like a situation where there was almost fisticuffs. So I had to step between these students. One of them was huge, and of course, and nothing happened. But it was one of these kinds of incidents is that how do you handle something like that? You know something happened, but it's like you saw a UFO. You saw something, but we don't know what it is. Okay, another thing that happens in this class was that a student had a handheld translator. Have you ever had anyone had experience with a handheld translator that students have these days? So the student was from Japan, and they had a handheld translator that they were using during an exam, and so I checked it out, and it didn't have any information on it, but it's ridiculous that you have to be a policeman on these kinds of things. What are you doing? Oh, it's a translator. So it was a situation that didn't arise to become a problem. So these are the rules at this particular college, okay? And these rules are on a syllabus that you give the students the first day of class. Everybody gets a syllabus. It has the rules on them. And you go through it with the students so they understand that. And you still have these kind of instances, like I said, okay? Okay, this is what the school says, okay? Representing the words, ideas, or work, including the use of commercial term papers, copying or allowing another student to copy, allowing another to assume one's identity for the purpose of enhancing one's grade, testing, field trips, or attendance. And at the community college level, attendance is very important because the money comes from, in this case, the state of California, and they need to know what our attendance is, okay? So they need to know who's there. If you're representing, if you sign an attendance page that's pushed around everybody in class, then that's wrong because it represents it wrong to the state of California. The department chair is going to get after you about that, okay? Okay, so the consequences are harsh, really, as well. What are the consequences? Okay, so where there's evidence, students can receive an F. You can assign a failing grade, may dismiss the students from the class for activity, and the instructor may recommend suspension or expulsion from the college as stipulated in this kind of college rule thing. But I think, which is good, there's due process, okay, before any discipline takes place, but there could be an academic dishonesty report that could come out of it as well. So, my third example is at an institution the incidence of plagiarism among first and second year graduate students. The only students we had at this institution were graduate students. They're all PhD students. There's no master's students, no undergraduates, just all PhD graduate students. Okay, incidences was not high, but the students had to be reminded a lot, especially during their first 2 years. First, they were told an introduction to graduate school. We had a big introduction to graduate school and told them all the rules, and you should not ever plagiarize. When you're writing something, you have to go through rules and learn how to do that. We had a scientific writing course for them as well, to tell them all about these things so they know how to paraphrase things and make them intelligible. Okay, and then again, they were told again when they had to complete their second year qualifying exam proposals. But the consequences are big. Probation or expulsion, especially for a student that is an international student. They get put on probation or get expelled. It means it's very serious. It's very serious for anybody. And occasionally it did happen. Students had to be put on probation or expelled, which is no fun. No fun for you, especially if you're an administrator. Okay, who are the most vulnerable? Okay, and we have to remember this. Okay, who are the most vulnerable to these kinds of things? Okay, I put middle school down here. I didn't usually have that on my slide before because it starts somewhere. Where does it start? It starts with the young kids. They already think that they can copy stuff. Okay, high school students, as I illustrated, beginning students at all levels, wherever they're beginning. This part I think is very important. International students who come from a background where copying is allowed because it honors the work of others who went before them. That's why they think they can copy things, because it honors the work of someone else. So that I think is something that you have to drum into the international students, is that, you know, it's not acceptable behavior to copy something. Copy something from directly from literature, from the internet, or some other source. But the bottom line here is that we are all vulnerable. Okay, we are all are vulnerable, and also the rest of the scientific community. But we all are vulnerable to these kinds of things. Okay, so we have all this newest technology. Maybe some other people will talk about that today, but it's all available, and we need to use this technology to help us to prevent students from doing these things or make them aware of it. I don't want to be a policeman. I don't want to teach a course that way. I don't want to do that. It's not what I want to do. I want to teach. I want students to learn. I always tell them it's about learning. It's not about me. It's about you. It's learning. And so I don't want to spend time doing that, so they should be aware that these things could be done. Okay, but you have to constantly remind them, most vulnerable, okay, and everyone at every level has to do a better job protecting and honestly reporting our work, our data, and our studies. And finally, with our brain working against us, as I said on the first slide, okay, our brain is working against us because it wants to relieve the stress. Okay, it's rewarding us for completion of the task. We always have this problem to some extent. We have to have this constant reminder to help us. So we have to work against our culture of cheating and watch and help and understand students, teachers, and all of us who are scientists.